Yo, what's up homies, it's OC guys for the banner video, and today is a new video. Anyway, today is another announcement World of Warships video, where I did one on HMS Hood a while back when she was announced, and I explained about it, and etc etc. I'm doing another one. Sorry about the car noises going past, I live by a road, as usual. But anyway, yes, World of Warships, Wargaming, they've announced a ton of ships being added. I'm sorry this is delayed, but they've announced they have announced British Battleships, King George V, HMS Nelson, the Lion, which was designed, and the Conqueror. And basically in this video I'll be going over them. Unfortunately now I can't do the entire history of the ships like I did with HMS Hood, so I'm just going to briefly go through the history of each ship. So anyway, I'm just going to talk about ships, and this video should be split in parts, hopefully, as to which ships where, and also my opinions on the ships themselves being added into the game. So let's start with the first ship, which is the King George V class battleship. So anyway, the first ship I'm going to talk about is the King George V. Now, the King George V was, let's try and do the history as fast as we can, shall we? King George V was British battleships that was built during World War II. Now these were they couldn't build their guns big enough. It's hard to explain. These are new state-of-the-art ships. The problem was that there was this big treaty called the Washington Treaty, which America and Japan, Britain and France were all under, not Germany, and they built Bismarck and basically built over 15-inch guns. But the King George V battleships, unfortunately, they were made to the standard, and it was predicted that that war was going to break out, obviously, because, you know, with the whole Sudetenland and Czechoslovakia and Anschluss and Lebensraum and all that. And so what happened was that the British got to work on making this new battleship, and they thought, it's going to be fine, no other ship's going to have as bigger guns than this. And then they looked at America and Japan and Germany and they realised, nuts. But what they also did was that they also got older ships like HMS Hood, Warspite, etc etc. I'm going to mention another ship which is one of them, and what happened was that they just basically improved them because they didn't apply to the rules. But unfortunately King George V class battleships did. There was 5 of them: HMS King George V herself, HMS Anson, HMS Howe, HMS Duke of York, and my favourite out of all of them, HMS Prince of Wales. And obviously they all took part in World War II. They each did various things. Duke of York attacked the Scharnhorst to help sink her. King George V was mainly the whole flagship, the whole thing. She was flagship of the home fleet, I believe. I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong. She played a part in sinking of Bismarck. She, along with HMS Rodney, went and attacked Bismarck and sunk her, sculled her, argumented. And HMS Prince of Wales was actually the ship basically that was battered during World War II throughout the entire thing. She went up against Bismarck, her guns broke down, she got battered by Bismarck and Prince Eugen. She was later, I can name the entire history of Prince of Wales, and then what happened was that she went in the Mediterranean for some time after some conference with the US President, and then she went over to Asia after the Mediterranean. And then basically the Japanese just all basically went banzai, and you know what happened after that. But yeah. So anyway, what do I think of her? Well, she's tier 7, same as HMS Hood. She doesn't have, so she wasn't, obviously they've acknowledged that she wasn't as powerful as Bismarck. And so yeah. She's capable of travelling up to 28 knots, so essentially she's going to be a really nice addition to the whole world of warships, I believe, because now people can finally reenact the whole Battle of Denmark Strait, which is which is amazing. One problem I do have is that this ship here, Prince of Wales, I think they're going to make her premium. Also, my American friend thinks that they're going to make her premium as well, which really, I don't like spending money on World of Warships, but these ships are going to be free. They're going to be free, so they're going to be good. Alright? So you don't have to worry about them. Alright? You don't have to worry about King George V or any ships I mentioned here. So that's really the King George V. I think she's going to be quite a good ship, actually. Hopefully her guns shouldn't break down, and I think she's going to be a really good ship. So let's go on and move on to the next ship, that I'm going to talk about, HMS Lion, which was the planned battleships that were supposed to be built. So anyway, here's the next ship, HMS Lion, Tier 9 battleship. Anyway, this was originally planned to succeed the King George V class battleships, but obviously there was a better battleship which they did build and came up with. So she's got 400mm guns, whereas Bismarck had over 300mm guns, so that puts her Tier 9 above Bismarck. So yeah, she'd probably be able to wipe the floor with Bismarck, not exactly 100%. But yeah, I don't know much about Lion, so I could probably talk to her about 3 or 5 minutes. But I'll try and just spew out as much information as I can. Really, she's just an advanced version of the King George V class battleship. The variations between her and the King George V class battleship are not so different. Here we can have a good example. Look at the ship's comparisons right now. Funnel caps, they're different. The guns, clearly different. The guns are more powerful at the bow. They removed the quadruple guns. Sorry, I got hair on this. And the double barreled gun at the front, as well as quadruple gun at the back. And what they did was that they made the guns obviously larger, but still being able to hold. And they may have updated the apparatus, I think, on top of a main substructure here. And that's really the only difference I can see between that. Oh, and the AA. She's got improved AA at the bow and the stern, really. Whereas the King George V class had to rely on their secondaries to act as AA guns. But yes, they did have AA guns, but their secondaries could be used as AA guns. But you didn't know that. Well, you might have. But anyway, so yeah, and that's really HMS Lion explained. I think she might be a good ship. She might be a good ship. She might be a good Tier 9 ship. I'm not exactly sure. So don't go, but that's all I really know about her. I can't really spread out any more information, so I'm really sorry about that, guys. But that's really HMS Lion, and I think she might be a good ship. Not much variation between King George V and her, but still. There's a reason I missed out HMS Nelson, which I'll get back to you later, because they actually haven't announced her tier. But as you can see now, probably with the amount of ships they have announced, you probably can guess which tier she's going to be. But it's actually quite funny and awkward at the same time to explain. So let's move on to the next ship, the Tier 10, HMS Conqueror. So anyway, here is the next ship, HMS Conqueror. Really, I'm not seeing much different. I think the British, we have a certain thing for keeping our ships as similar as possible, but tell that, so did the Germans. Germans each had the same sort of design for ships. I mean, Bismarck was only just really a larger version of Prince Eugen, in my opinion. Really, that's the thing. Really, each nation, they kept on making their ships the exact same way to each other. Apart from Japan, they made theirs all a bit higgledy stuff. Yeah. But anyway, let's look at the guns on Conqueror. So 457mm, just 3mm short of Yamato's. So she would be able to hold up against Yamato, which is actually really interesting. Speed, she's faster than Yamato. She's obviously not going to be as long as Yamato, but she's definitely faster. She's only just got smaller guns by millimeters. 9 action guns. But yeah, flipping out. Yeah, guns on this. Whew. But yeah, and this is really the Conqueror. But yeah, the thing about Conqueror, I'm actually quite annoyed, truth be told, at the fact that they added in Conqueror. Because Conqueror, I looked up Conqueror, the ship Conqueror, and she doesn't exist. I've looked her up for ages, and I try to find the slightest bit of trace of her, but she just doesn't exist. It's like, because she wasn't the successor, she was never built, she was designed. And I think because they're going to add in the ship which actually did, which I've mentioned before, the ship which did actually succeed the HMS Lion was HMS Vanguard. And she was a real life ship. She actually did exist. She was the last battleship to be built by Britain, the largest warship at the time, But now we've got a new larger warship called HMS Elizabeth, which is going to be joined by a sister soon, HMS Prince of Wales, which I'm happy about. But yeah, the thing is that she was, I don't know, but I think that they might add in Vanguard as a premium ship, not just a normal ship, because I mean, Vanguard was a very powerful British battleship, very large, very powerful. And she was built really after the war, 1949 sort of she was built, and she was basically the most powerfulest warship we ever built at the time. We have a tendency for saying stuff like that, don't we? But she really was, which really sort of annoys me that they're going to add her in as a premium. But it also annoys me that they're going to probably add in Prince of Wales as a premium, because everybody knows, or should know, about Prince of Wales and how I feel about Prince of Wales. So yeah. But anyway, that's that. You know, they're probably going to add in Vanguard. You know, they haven't added in the Rat tank into World of Tanks or in War Thunder, because I mean, it's the Land Cruiser P1000 Rat, because you know, it's not physically possible. But Vanguard, yeah, they're going to add her in, but probably as a premium, probably. But anyway, now let's go on to last ship, which I've left last because I have to explain it a little bit. And that is Nelson. I almost said Rodney then. I have a tendency to call him Rodney rather than Nelson, because I prefer Rodney to Nelson. So anyway, the last ship I'll be talking about is HMS Nelson. Now, HMS Nelson, she was built pretty much before the Treaty of Washington. This is a 1941 version of her, because in May of 1941 the war had just begun. Never mind, I'm not going to get into the bloody song. And yeah, she was actually built, she was an old-ish ship, really. I've actually got a model of her right here, mwah, as we can see. And really, yeah. And the difference between Nelson and King George V is that there's actually not much difference if we look at the bows. They're actually both the same length, near enough. Obviously the bow design different, but the guns are actually larger of Nelson rather than King George V. Oh crap, sorry, I'm accidentally dropping Prince of Wales, don't want to do that again. I dropped her on her head one time, wasn't happy about that. I had to glue it back together. But yes, so obviously, let's look at her guns. Obviously, her guns are larger than Bismarck. I'm going to predict, because I mentioned it in the video before. Yes, they are. They are quite larger, not much larger, but she's got 16-inch guns, whilst Bismarck had 15-inch guns, which you think, that's not very much. It is a lot. It's quite a lot shell-wise, and really, this ship has advantages and disadvantages. There was two of them, HMS Nelson, HMS Rodney. Obviously, these were built before the Washington Treaty, which basically said you can't do this, Sieg Heil. Sorry about that last bit I just said. And basically, HMS Nelson was just, they thought, well, we'll just upgrade her, and they basically upgraded her with bigger guns, because previous ships made to this weren't under the rules. And so really, a predecessing battleship was more powerful than its successor, which is weird. You know, it doesn't make any sense. That shouldn't happen. A predecessing ship should not be more powerful than a successing ship. It doesn't make any sense. You know, which is why she's actually, you see, she hasn't been announced her tier, because really she should be a tier 5. She should be a tier 6. Problem is, she's a tier 6. She would be the most OP tier 6 ship in the game. Because look at the size of those guns, right? She'd be able to attack from the full front. Her weakness is her stern. Like, you attack from the stern, she's gonna sink. But, you know, you're attacking, she's obviously got very slow. She's very slow. That is her main disadvantage. She is very slow. She's a slow ship. So if you really want to attack her from behind and attack her fast. She's going to be a thingy. What's actually really annoying? No torpedoes. Right? But do you know what her sister is famous for? Being the only ever battleship to fire and hit another battleship with torpedoes. Which, it's stupid they don't add in torpedoes. HMS Hood actually had torpedoes and they haven't added those in. But probably if they did, then it should be very OP. But tell me that, so does Nice now. So, because wargaming doesn't listen to history and they just make it up as they go along. Because they made up the ship Conqueror when they should have had Vanguard. Not really sure. But yeah, really, it's hard to explain the ship actually. She's actually really OP. That's the funny thing, she's ridiculously overpowered. But yeah, as like I said, her only weakness is the stern, but she can attack from the front and basically be, I'm getting messaged, and basically be really powerful. She can attack other ships. So, you know, which is really good. She is like very, you might think, oh, she's ugly, she's complete, but she's actually really powerful. She's going to be very powerful ship, hopefully. She's going to be absolutely brilliant to use. But yeah, that's kind of weird. But yeah, so I'm going to talk to you overall about the British ships being added. The higher tier British battleships being added and what I think of them overall. So generally, overall, what do I think of the British battleships, high tier ones? I think Nelson is going to be OP as hell. Personally, I prefer Sister Rodney, because I mean, she did cause the Bismarck to get sculled. Yes, I do believe that. I just can't believe that Bismarck was sunk. I say that she was sculled. Well, I'm going to do an experiment, prove it in the summer. Well, not prove it, but hopefully try to prove it. But yeah, Nelson's going to be OP. Definitely, she's going to be very powerful. King George V, she's going to be nice. I can't wait to get her. Really, I want her sister more. I love if they just went, now announcing premium ship HMS Anderson and Howe. Just like, I just pull out a gun and just because I'm not saying they're bad, but I'm just saying in comparison to Prince of Wales, I can't really touch it. So yeah, Conqueror, slightly annoyed, but she's going to be quite powerful. You know, she's going to be obviously a tier 10 powerful powerhouse. And the Lion, not really sure, really, truth be told. Really, I think they should have added in Vanguard, because Vanguard is definitely a ship they should have added in. They should have acknowledged the Vanguard existing, they should have added it in. Probably not as a premium, but I have a feeling now they're gonna do it, because they're wargaming, they can do what they want. Like, when I went to Tank Fest, I didn't go into the wargaming bit, because I was like, I don't like them, I'm not gonna be a contributor. I don't care, because literally you say anything bad about wargaming and they just come on you like a ton of bricks. They're like, rrr. But don't talk bad about War Thunder or Gargan, because they will remove your videos. Which is why I don't do those sort of videos. I just do them on announcements. But yeah, overall, I think they're going to prove really good, really well in the game. Can't wait for them to arrive. They've also announced the Graf Zeppelin. I'm going to do a video on that. Can't wait to do that. Should do that today. And also lower tier British ships, which I need to do. But anyway, this ends this video here, I guess, because I can't really talk more about them. Each ship has advantage, disadvantage. Overall, they're just normal battleships, except Nelson, she's slightly different. Obviously, as you can see, attack from the bow. If you get Nelson, attack from the bow, or you know, you have a much better turning point. You have a much better angling point, so the shells will bounce off you. They won't hit you. Sorry about the cars. They'll just go around you. They won't hit you. Problem is, you're a slow moving target. You're going to get hit quite a lot, actually. You're not going to be able to outrun a cruiser. You're going to get hunted down. HMS Hood, she is brilliant. She can outrun a cruiser. I can outrun HMS Cleveland in HMS Hood. Brilliant ship. Hands down. 10 out of 10. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you really want to, leave a like. Obviously, comment if you have your opinion on the ships at hand, or any history, or anything I've said wrong about the ships, or anything about HMS Conqueror, and say, oh well, actually this website says that she does exist, and you're just talking shit, OC. If you really want to, you can subscribe, because I've got new videos coming out, and I've got a lot more Navy stuff planned this summer, which is really good. Hopefully I should put Tank Fest video, but That's taken forever to edit because I practically recorded like 24 hours worth of video, so I need to sort that out. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, peace out, mommies.